Luther, thank you so much for your time and your generosity for being here. Now you get to hear how awesome you really are on the next level from outside perspective. So, for over 2 decades, Luther Bryan Cowden has embarked on a personal mission to elevate the human body's self healing potential. He's so much more than a personal trainer and a stretch coach. His work has empowered clients and members of his community from all around the globe with a multi dimensional sensory experience that liberates and fortifies cells, intellect, emotions, and even the spirit through simple yet revolutionary flexibility and strength training techniques. His signature methodology is a life force activating fusion of ancient medicinal teachings, sacred sciences, and cutting edge fitness and wellness practices, which is what makes him the secret weapon to some of the planet's most prolific change makers and paradigm shifters of our time. He's highly sought after. He's one of the highest sought after exercise coaches around. His A-list client roster includes Hollywood headliners, Olympic legends, pro athletes, world-renowned thought leaders, and elite business executives, including one of my favorites, modern-day Renaissance woman and media mogul, the legendary Ms. Oprah Winfrey. However, some of his most near and dear accomplishments have been coming to the aid of human beings who have been severely injured or ill beyond what conventional medicine was capable of healing for them, and leaving them turning to Luther as a last hope to reverse engineer their physical pain and suffering back towards healing and thriving vitality. Hopefully, none of us will ever have to be in that place. This movement rockstar is a fierce yet gentle force to be reckoned with when it comes to igniting the innate wisdom technology embedded within muscles and connective tissues and organs, and utilizing this as a gateway to accessing extraordinary health, peak performance, and next level badassery. So please welcome, ladies, one of my all-time favorite exercise mentors of my own personal healing journey, Luther Bryan Cowden. Thanks for being here, love.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Pleasure to meet all of you. Hello. Nice to see you. You sent me that write up, and I thought, wow, I don't think anyone's ever written anything about me in terms of a bio. And I was impressed and appreciative of your words. So thank you very much for all of that.
Ah, you're so welcome. Yeah, you've definitely impacted me on so many levels. Your work is extraordinary. I'd love for the ladies to get, I know a little bit about your story, but I'd love for the ladies here to get an experience from, your words through your heart about your journey from where you were and what you used to do and to the work that you do now.
Yeah, sure. So I am not typical like most personal trainers out there who have a background with strength and conditioning or athletics or anything related to the physical body, quite frankly. In fact, I've mostly been averse to exercise throughout my entire life. And I would still say that's true, even though I very much enjoy exercising and health now because of my practice. It's still something that is secondary for me. Initially, I was always very much into the arts, into theater and singing in particular, and only went into my body because I was having some severe digestive issues in high school around age 16. And I should have been able to eat anything at that age, but was ultimately I ended up having an ulcer, duodenal ulcer. And that I think was through a combination of things happening in my life physically, as well as mental and emotional stress that I was under. And luckily, I had a good doctor, a good Western doctor, and he asked me, he said, "Are you stressed?" And I said, "I don't know. I haven't really thought about it." He said, "You're 16 or 15, I forget. You should be able to eat nails at this age. What's going on?" And so that I think opened my mind to, wow, stress is a factor when it comes to digestive health of all things. That's not something that had ever occurred to me. And there were some things that needed to happen physically in my life. And ultimately, I went through Western medicine to fix the ulcer. And that was pretty invasive, taking a stringent course of antibiotics and I forget what else. And shortly thereafter, I started to learn more about my diet. And in fact, I found the ulcer to be quite a teacher because it was very clear to me that eating fried food was not a good idea. And other types of foods that I were eating, there was just no question about what I should eat. My body could only handle very, very clean food. And so from there, I did start to learn about how diet influences gut health and the bacterial levels and enzymatic activity in foods. And had I known that before, I maybe would have tried to have healed my digestive system through an approach with nutrition and other health modalities, but I just didn't know anything. Um, so that's what got me interested in health. And the physical part didn't happen until a couple years later, and I was in college, and I met someone at an airport who had told me about flexibility training and how it can affect the physiological health functionings of the body, which was new to me. So I had known nothing about yoga or Chinese medicine or fitness or health or sports or anything physical. And so I was like, well, what is this? I need to know about this. As soon as I heard about it, I was like, life-changing moment. I was like, this person has a message for me. And I'm very sensitive energetically that way. So I knew that I needed to pay attention to what this person was telling me. And he told me to seek out Bob Cooley, who had developed a flexibility training technique, and didn't know who this person was. So looked into it. And at that point, there was really no information out there about him or his work. And so I called him up. And next thing you know, I'm going out to California to do a teacher training intensive, which was, I had zero interest in being a teacher, physical trainer, zero, like no interest whatsoever. But there was no book, there were no trainers, there was only the source. And he was working on his first book called The Genius of Flexibility, which came out a few years later. And so I was like, ah, forget it. I'm not going to do all that. And got off the phone. And then that voice that had said, hey, you said you needed to know about this. I was like, fine. So I went and talked to a couple of friends. The next thing you know, me and two of my friends drive out to California from Austin, Texas, where I was living at the time. And we did the teacher training intensive. And still from that point, I was not interested in being a trainer. I was just doing the teacher training because it was the only way to learn. So I went back to Austin, and I was living in a 100-person housing co-op at the time. And I was very involved with the community there. And I was like, hey, everyone, check out this great work. Let's stretch. And so I started getting everyone together, and we would work on each other. Let me work on your hamstrings, so you can work on mine, so on and so forth. And I had a friend, Susan, who said, this is amazing work. She just couldn't believe it. And she had been a dancer her whole life. So she had done Pilates and gyrotonics and yoga. And she was at school at the university to be a physical therapy aide. And she had done just every physical movement modality under the sun. And she said, you found something here. I'm like, yeah, it's pretty cool. She's like, no, no, no. This is like, I've never experienced changes like this in this short of a period of time. I was like, yeah, it's cool. She's like, I'm telling you though, I've checked out a lot of things. I was like, okay, cool. She said, you need to start teaching. And I said, oh, no, no, no. I'm not interested in doing that. I'm just wanting to improve my health and my friend's health. And I continued to do that. And she kept egging me on until one day she said, you know what, I talked to the owner of my Pilates studio. She loves the work. And we already have people interested, ready to sign up for your workshop. I said, my workshop. And so that's what started me teaching. And at that point, I realized I was already teaching my friends. And so I was already being a teacher. So I just had to get over my resistance and just start sharing. And before long, I opened up a studio, and it just goes on and on from there. So that's generally how I got started. It was a personal need in terms of my own health. And then it was something that I appreciated sharing with others, primarily because I thought it was fascinating to see people coming together to stretch each other. The interaction I found to be very complementary to the community-based environment that I was facilitating and involving myself in. So I was very interested in the interaction between not just one and one, but sometimes it's 3 or 4 or 5 or 6, 10 people working on one person. It's very surgical that way. And so I was fascinated with that more so than I was, offering it professionally as a trainer. And since then, I've gone all over the world. I've worked with some very interesting people, and I've been in very interesting situations, and still going with it after all this time. It's been my only occupation. It's pretty much my life. So I'm happy to share whatever you'd like to know. And I look forward to getting to know you all as we go through this together.
Thanks so much, Luther. Thanks for a little sneak peek into your world. What an amazing journey. What a great hero's journey.